Hi, it's Paige. Today I'm going to show you how to create graphic templates in Photoshop, just like the ones pictured here. I'm going to take you through step by step, and at the end of this video I'm going to have a really fun freebie for you. So make sure you watch the whole thing and let me know what you think when I'm done. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. The first template I'm going to make is the Autumn Vibes template. And I'm going to start by making a new document in Photoshop. I'm going to make it 2000 by 2000 pixels. I'm going to have the resolution at 72, and the color mode we want to be RGB color, and the background color we can have as white. And then you're just going to go ahead and click Create. This is going to open up a new document. Now what we want to do is we want to get the backgrounds onto our image, and we will do that using the freebie that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you 6 fall themed backgrounds, and you can use these to make your own social media graphics after you watch the tutorial. So we're going to go to File, Place Embedded, and then we're going to find the background that we want to use for our image, and we're going to go ahead and click Place. And then once we have it there, you can see it's perfectly sized in there, so we can just press the check mark, and now we have our background. Now in the example I showed you, I had an image inside this circle. So I'm going to show you how we're going to add that. And we're going to do that using clipping masks. And clipping masks are really fun. And so this is kind of a cool thing to learn. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a circular shape with our ellipse tool. It's also the Shapes tool. So the Shapes tool is located between the pointer and the hand. Now, you may not see it as a round tool. If you don't, that's fine. Just press down on the Shape tool, hold down with your mouse, and then you're going to be able to select the tool that you want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a circular shape, and we're going to do this pressing Shift on our keyboard as we hold down on our mouse and draw our shape. The reason we want to hold down Shift is because when you have Shift held down, it's going to make sure that your circle is perfectly round. If I let go of Shift, it's going to make kind of an oval shape. So we want to make sure that we have Shift held down on our keyboard. So now we have our shape, and now we can use the Move tool and we can place this how we want it. And once you have it centered in the middle of the circle just the way you want it, we are going to go ahead, and if it makes it easier on you, you can just name this like clipping shape so you know what it is. It helps you to keep your layers organized and you know what each layer does. And now what you do in order to get the picture inside this circle is we're going to go to File, Place Embedded, and you're going to choose a picture that you want inside the circle. So I'm going to choose the picture that I had of my daughter there, and now I'm going to size this. And again, as I size this, I'm holding down on Shift on my keyboard, because when I hold down on Shift, it makes sure that my aspect ratio or the dimensions of my image stay the same, so it doesn't distort the image. So always when you're sizing things and it's important for them to stay the same size, or you need them to be perfectly square, perfectly circular, you always want to hold down Shift on your keyboard. Once I have this size the way I want it, I can just press the check mark. And now what we need to do is clip this picture onto the shape. So we're going to right click on our layer, and we're going to go to Create Clipping Mask. And so now this is clipped in the middle of the circle, and now I can move this around and I can resize it if I need to in order to get it just the way I want it. And that looks really good. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some text. To add the text, I'm just going to use the text tool, and the text tool is this T here. So we're going to add the text, and we are going to use the script font here, and this is a font that's free for commercial use, so I'm going to go ahead and link to it in the freebie info when you get that. And I'm going to use a dark brown color, and if you want to change the color, you can just click on that little color swatch. I'm going to use a dark brown color for the autumn. I'm going to have it centered. And I'm starting at about 200 points for my text, but I can make this bigger or smaller and resize it after I type it. So I'm just going to type autumn. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and resize this. And I'm going to hold down on Shift on my keyboard, and you can see it's the text is placed under the clipping shape, so I just need to move it to the top of the stack so I can see it. So we're just going to click and drag up to the top of the grouping there. And then I want to rotate it a little bit and just kind of place it where I want it, and you can kind of play around with this until you like the way it looks. And you don't have to put autumn vibes, you can put whatever you want on there. So now I have it the way I want it, but I want it to stick out a little bit more, so I'm going to add a stroke to the text. I'm going to add a white stroke so it kind of looks like it's actually part of this frame a little bit because the frame is white. So to do that, we're going to use our layer effects, and we are going to add a stroke, and we can choose what color we want. So my stroke is 6 points or 6 pixels, and I have it positioned on the outside. So if I have it positioned on the inside, it's actually going to start to take some of the text away, and we don't want that. So we have it positioned on the outside, so the stroke is just on the outside of the text. And you can also change your color, but I have my color as white, so it kind of looks like it's part of the frame. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And so now I can add another bit of text, and I can write the vibes down here. So I'm going to use my text tool again. This time I'm going to choose a sans-serif font, and again I will give you the information on how to download this, and we're going to put vibes. And I actually I selected the wrong font. There we go. Okay. And so now I can, again, size this, holding down on Shift on my keyboard and pulling and sizing this, and we're going to make the vibes kind of big. And we can angle it a little bit if we want, and just put it however we want. Now I could stop here and I could, leave it there, but I actually want to change the color. And so I'm going to just change it to kind of a more orangey color. And I'm going to do that by, you can do it a couple different ways. One, you can select the type tool, and then you can select over the type and highlight it, and you can change the color here. And then just, get the kind of color that you want. The other way that you can change it, if you have just the layer selected, you can also go to your character tool. And if you don't see the character tool, you just go to Window, and then go to Character, and it's going to open this up, and so we can actually change the text color here as well. As you can see, I can click around in here and change the color. And I want to add that same stroke to vibes so it looks like it's also part of the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy the layer style. Since I already did all of that here, I can just right click on this, and I can go down here to copy layer style. And then up on vibes, I can go here and I can go to paste layer style. And so it's going to paste the stroke on there just the same way. And then all I have to do now is just do my final finishing touches and just kind of move things around how I want them, get the colors just the way I want them. And then what I want to do, so we can have this as a template. And what I mean by template is it's something that you can reuse over and over again. So we could actually, change the text on here, or we could change the images really easily. So we want to save this as a PSD file, which is a Photoshop file. So you would just go to File and go to Save As, and just save it as, fall template 1 or something, whatever you want to name it as, and go ahead and click Save. And so that's going to save it with all of these layers here. So you could actually come in and let's say you want to do another one, but you don't want to have the text on it, but you want to change the image. So what you can do then is just get rid of this image, go to File, Place Embedded, and then we can choose a different type of image. So I'm just finding another random image on my computer, and we can place it and size it, all the same stuff that we did before, and create the clipping mask. and then we can just move it around if we need to. And so we could do the same thing. And then you could have the text on there and you could change the text. If you need to change the text, you just go to your type tool. And you can move these around, and you can resize them and change them however you want. So it's a template that you make that you can change over and over again. So after you have your text on there just the way you want it, and you have your image on there just the way you want it, and you've saved the template, what we can do is we can go ahead and save this as a PNG that we're going to be able to save on our social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. So to do that, I think the easiest way to do that is to go to File, and then go to Export, Quick Export as PNG, and then you can name it, something else. So we could name this Hello Fall, and it's going to save it as a PNG, and that's going to be a great file format for just about everything. Now, if you have an older version of Photoshop, you may not have that quick export as PNG, so you can just go to File, Save As, and then instead of selecting Photoshop, you can go down and you can select PNG or JPEG or PDF or however you want to save it, and save it as a PNG that way. And then, so if we were going to save that as a PNG, you click Save, and it's going to give you some more options, and I just always have it as the smallest and then the interlace none, and then you can click OK. So let's go ahead and start on the next template. All right, so now we're going to make the other template, and so I'm going to go to File, New, and we're going to use the same document size that we used before. So 2000 by 2000 pixels, 72 resolution, RGB color, and we're going to go ahead and click Create. And we have our blank document. So what we want to do is we want to go to File, Place Embedded, and again, we want to find the PNG that we want to use for the background, and those are going to be included in the freebie that I'm going to tell you about at the end of this video. And then it's going to center it up, and we're just going to press the check mark, and that looks great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to add my text. Now before I add my text, I am going to make sure that I have my snap turned on. So if you go under View, you'll see Snap checked, and I have it snapped to Guides, Layers, and Document Bounds, and this will just help me center my text up in the middle of my document. So I am going to do Assign for a free gift. So I'm just going to, again, I'm going to use kind of a darker brown color, and I'm going to type here in the middle, I'm going to type free gift. And then I'm going to move this, and you can see as I move it that there's these purple lines that are coming up, and you can see when I get it to the center, there's a purple line that shows up down the center of the document, and that means that it's centered. So I'm going to have this towards the top in the center. And now I'm going to add the lines that I had on the sides of the free gift. So I'm going to go to my shape tool, but this time I'm not going to have an ellipse, I'm going to do a line. And I'm going to draw my line, but as I draw my line, I want to have Shift held down on the keyboard, and this is going to ensure that my line does not go diagonal or any other which way, that it is a perfectly straight line. And so I'm going to make my line, and then I want to have it be a little bit thicker. So here where it says height, I'm going to change it from 2 pixels to 10 pixels. And that is going to make my line a little bit thicker. And so now what I want to do is I want to just duplicate this shape, and I want to have it be the same shape on the other side of the free gift. So to duplicate it, I can just press Control J on my keyboard if I have a a PC, or Command J if I have a Mac. And then I can actually rename these. But first I'm gonna move this over here, and you can see with my guides that it's going to, When I have it like this, it's showing me that it's lined up. So you can see that it has a line on the top and the bottom of my little lines there. And so it's saying that they're lined up. So it just helps you line things up. So then I can rename this one left line, and I can rename this one. And I'm just double clicking on the text, and that's letting me change the name. So I have right line and left line. And now I'm going to select both of these lines by pressing Shift down on my keyboard. And I want to make sure that these lines are actually in the center and that they're centered with the free gift. So you can see now that the lines are in the center and they're centered with the free gift. And so that looks good. And then next I'm going to add my text that says Autumn Sale. So I'm going to use my type tool again, and I'm going to change my font to the script font that we used on the other thing. And we're going to write Autumn. And I want this to be really big. So I'm going to go to my move tool, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to make this almost across the entire document. And here you can see that I have my purple line down the center, so it's centered in the middle. And then I'm going to change back to, we just want to apply the transformation. You can also do that. When you're moving something, there's also a check mark, so you can do it by doing clicking on the check mark too. And I'm going to switch back to the other font. Whoops. I'm going to create a new text layer. I'm going to switch back to the other font, and we are going to write sale. There we go. I have it selected. Okay. And I'm actually going to change the color of the sale. So I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to click on the color swatch, and I'm going to kind of sample. You can see there's a little dropper here. This is letting me sample colors. So I'm kind of sampling this orange color, and then I'm just going to make it like a little bit darker until I like the way it looks. Maybe a little darker. And click OK. And now I'm going to go back to my move tool. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to make the sale part larger. And I'm going to have it go just about across the autumn, and I'm going to center it up. Now you can see that my autumn text is actually behind the sales text, and I want it to be on top. So to do that, we're just going to move the autumn above sale. And so we have that. And then I'm also going to add the stroke to the autumn again, just so it adds some separation between the autumn and sale. So we're going to go to our layer effects. We're going to add a stroke. And I have it at 6 points, and the color is white. And we have it on the outside, and we're going to go ahead and click OK. And so now I have my autumn sale there in the middle, and now I can add my text at the bottom. And I'm going to flip back to my sans-serif font, and I'm going to make the font a little bit smaller now, so I'm going to start with like a 100-point font. And I want to use the same color that I used on the autumn, so I'm going to click that swatch, and then I'm just going to use my eyedropper tool on the autumn and make sure that I'm using the same color font. And then I'm going to go ahead and size this the way I want it, center it up in the middle of the document, and just press the check mark. And then I'm going to put my website at the bottom using the same font, but I'm going to use my swatch, and I'm going to sample the color that I used on sale. And then I can have that there. So now what I need to do is I need to just look at everything and kind of size it the way that I want it. And so one thing that I think is really helpful when you're working with layers is to group things that should be together, and that will help you kind of size things and move them. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to group the free gift and then the left line and the right line, and that's going to make me be able to just move the free gift all together. So to do that, we're going to select all of the layers. So we're going to click left line, then we're going to hold down Shift on our keyboard, and then we're going to select free gift. So we have all three of those selected, and we're going to press Control G if you have a PC, or Command G if you have a Mac, and that is going to group them together. So now I'm going to just change this group, and we can make this the free gift group. And so now if I have this group here, I can move the group together, and so I can move the free gift up a little bit, and I have that group together. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Autumn Sale. So I'm going to select Autumn, and I'm going to press on Shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to select Sale. I'm going to press Command G because I'm on a Mac, but it would be Control G if you're on a PC. And then we can just rename this group Autumn Sale. You don't have to put hyphens. I just tend to do that. It's just how I do things. And then we're going to move Autumn Sale up a little bit. And then we can move the free bag with purchase, and we can leave our site name there. So we can move stuff around, and this just makes it easier to move stuff around because you can click on the group and you can move stuff together. And you can even resize it together. So if we decide, oh, Autumn Sale is a little bit too big, we have the group selected, press down Shift on our keyboard, and it'll allow us to resize that whole group instead of just resizing each individual file. So we can resize the whole group, center the whole group, and it just makes things a little bit easier. So I'm just going to move just a couple more things. And you can also see right here, another thing with having your guides turned on is you can see that there's 131 pixels in between the free gift and Autumn, and 131 pixels between the sale and the free bag. So that just helps you line stuff up even more and just makes stuff look really nice and neat. So I like the way this looks, except I think that the stuff that I really want people to stick out a little bit more is like what the actual sale is and my website, and then the free gift. They're not showing up as much. So what I want to do is I actually want to mask off part of this background. So I'm going to click on my Fall 2 layer, which is that's this dots layer you can see, and I'm going to add a mask to it. So to do that, I'm going to click on the rectangular marquee tool, and I am going to make sure that I have these two squares. See these two squares that are blended together? I want to click on that one because that's going to allow me to make a selection on both parts of this mask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top just around the free gift, and I'm going to select the bottom just around the text here at the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my layer mask tool, and you can see it actually did the opposite of what we wanted. So we can just invert this layer mask, and we do that by pressing Control I on your keyboard if you have a PC, or Command I if you have a Mac. So what I did is I created a mask, and I masked off the top and bottom of this graphic, and that allows it to just make this strip here. And then you can see that there's just like a teeny tiny part of this one here and a teeny tiny part of this little dot here, and it looks a little weird. So let's say I want to get rid of those. I can just take my brush over the mask in black, and I can just click on those and get rid of those half ones. And I can even get rid of this one too if I wanted. So I can just further mask it a little bit more until I like the way it is. And I can do the same thing here at the bottom, just so I don't have those like half dots. Actually, I want that one to stay. All right, so that is how you would make it. And again, to save this as a template, so all we have to do is go back in and maybe change our text. So, maybe there's a different free gift every week. Some days it's a makeup bag, some days it's a makeup brush. You can just go to File, Save As, and we can name this, free gift template. And we'll save the PSD, so we have the Photoshop file, so we have all of those layers. So we can go in and change the text if we need to. And then when we're ready to share it on our social media, we can just export it as a PNG. So we can do that quick export as PNG and save it.